Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and wherever you are watching us from in the world. Welcome to Pep Talks in the Morning. My name is Felicia Holder, Chairman of the Progressive Empowerment Party, and your host of this morning program every Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. It is Thursday, the 28th of May, and this morning we have Talk Your Talk Tuesday, which is a new segment that I would have introduced into the program where we bring on people and we interview them, as well as we open the lines as per usual for you to call in and talk your talk from 9 a.m. This morning, joining us as our main guest is Mr. Michael Paul Babulal, who is an agronomist. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. When he comes on, he will correct me. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Miss Felicia. How are you?
I am good this morning. Did I pronounce that right? You're an agronomist, right?
Agronomist, yes, yes.
Yes. Nice. So, Michael, welcome to Pep Talks in the Morning. Thank you very much for agreeing to be our guest this morning to talk a little bit about agriculture. That's what we're going to discuss today, and not just agriculture, but youth in agriculture, which is something when we were having our pre-discussions yesterday. I know it's
Yes,
something that you in particular are very passionate about. Yeah?
yes, yes.
All right. Well, to start off the discussion, Michael, please tell the viewers, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, good morning to all. A pleasant good morning to Miss Felicia Holder, the entire staff there. Good morning to Mr. Hakim and the staff at Carlson Chemicals Limited. Good morning to Miss Dennis Danusuku as well. Um, well, my name is Michael Babulal, and I work as an agronomist at Carlson Chemicals for the past 9 years or so. But more than that, I am also a person actively involved in agriculture, practically involved in agriculture. I am a farmer myself. So I can see things sometimes from a farmer's perspective and also as an input supplier perspective. From an input supplier perspective, I see things as well. And my main drive is to see more young people get involved in the agricultural sector.
Okay. So how I remember you telling me you're doing this for well over 10, 11 years. So how old were you when you started and how well I guess to do the math I want to know how old are you now?
Well, I have been involved in agriculture practically all my life. Um, it's something that I did not really inherit from a parent per se, because both my parents were not involved in agriculture, but somehow or the other, I always had the love for agriculture. So from about the age of eight or so, I would say, I was practically involved in farming. I had my little backyard garden going on, even in primary school. And through secondary school level, I did agriculture. I got my distinctions and so on. And then I went on to EKIAF to do my further studying with agriculture. But I am 29 years of age at this moment. So practically all my life I have been involved in agriculture.
Noted. And I see you got a very early start, and you mentioned your little backyard garden. In a little bit, I will be showing you mine. Not yet, Sati, please put it up yet. In a little
Oh,
bit,
yes.
I'll be showing you all what became of my garden that I started for COVID-19. And maybe you can give me some advice on what I can do because it seems to have gone a little rogue. So tell me,
Okay.
what exactly is an agronomist? I know we know about farmers, we know about people in the agricultural sector. I did read up on it, but for the listening audience, tell us what exactly is an agronomist and what do they do?
Well, an agronomist, in a nutshell, really, is someone who knows the science of growing crops and can identify diseases and pests in the crops and give recommendations or perhaps suggestions on how you can improve your crop.
Very basic, very simple. And
Yes.
you do this right now for the Caribbean. Just remind me of the where you work.
Carlson Chemicals. Carlson Chemicals. Yeah.
And you've been doing this with them for how long?
9 years or so. 9 years. Approximately 9 years.
So, what areas do you specialize in? Because I'm assuming that it's not, or is it across the board? You tell me, in terms of your job and your responsibilities right now, what are you involved in?
I am involved in field visits. I do site visits for the farmers. So I go visiting farmers' fields. I give recommendations or suggestions. I identify diseases in their crops. So farmers really look forward for that. Also, with the little technology that we have now on WhatsApp, regularly I get a lot of pictures and so on, farmers telling me, Michael, I am seeing this in my crop, I am seeing that. Do you have any suggestions for us? And I would make suggestions, I would give recommendations based on what I see. And I am very happy and pleased to see also that a lot of farmers' lives and their family lives have been improving due to the service that I offer to them.
Well, that is great. And like I said, hopefully you can improve my kitchen garden a little bit later down because
Yes, yes, I would
it's really
love to.
gone, it's really gone kind of rogue right now. But you personally, what are you involved in growing? You're 29 years old, you're a young man. We're going to discuss youth in a little bit in terms of agriculture. What are you involved in growing?
I do bananas at the moment. Currently, I'm in the process of planting a lot of chiquito bananas and a lot of moco. Moco is a type of banana that kind of phasing out on the market. So I have decided to do a lot of moco and chiquito bananas. So currently, right now, I'm in the process of planting these bananas.
Believe it or not,
Also,
I have one. Oh, you got.
Also, I do a lot of coconut as well. I'm involved in a lot of coconut production at the moment. So I'm trying to get a lot of people aware about the benefits of coconut water, coconut oil, etc. And also getting back involved into eating local bananas as opposed to some other foreign type.
Well, I'm glad that you raised that because we discuss agriculture fairly often on this show, my show, the Plain Talk Show. We had Danu on Philip's Plain Talk Show a couple times. So we're getting more and more familiar with some of the challenges of our farmers and the agricultural sector, etc. You just
Yes.
mentioned that you're doing bananas, and I remember at a point in my early childhood years growing up, knowing that we imported bananas from St. Vincent, etc. I was not even aware that the banana industry was something that was well profitable in Trinidad. And because you see that we are importing a lot of things, I found out recently within the past 3 months that we import garlic from China, which it blew my
Yes. Yes.
mind because I couldn't believe that not only were we importing garlic from China, but it was actually coming up to be less than the garlic that you would find here grown locally. And I didn't understand that when literally you have to pick it off of the fields and just bring it here, as opposed to shipping halfway across the world to
True.
bring and then package and sell, not package, but distribute to all the supermarkets. So you as
Yes.
a agronomist, as a farmer yourself, as somebody involved in the agricultural sector, how is it that we find ourselves in a position where we are importing so many of the things that can be grown here locally, and why is it we end up paying more for local stuff versus what comes in from the outside? I don't know if you can answer that question.
I'll try my best to. I I want to believe that we found ourselves importing a lot of stuff into the country because we want to ensure that we have the right supply. However, there are a lot of farmers in the country at present I am aware of, and I know for a fact that they are willing to produce once we have the necessary backing or support from whichever political party it might be. The farmers will be satisfied with the support. Also, in terms of local produce selling expensive, local produce is the best. And I'm not saying that because it is local, but really the quality, the standard. For instance, our ginger. We have local ginger here with at least 3 times the taste and the pungency as opposed to that foreign ginger that we may import from St. Vincent or so. Our local bananas like the Chiquito or the gummy shell and so forth is much more sweeter than that foreign banana that we would usually bring down. Also, we have a lot of farmers in Trinidad that does provisions, cassava, yams, potato, um, and these are local provisions that are readily available in our market. And I really don't see the need of importing it. And yes, I see they might try to increase the supply so that the price would kind of keep standard. But I think if we look at food security measures and give our local farmers the necessary support that they need and support the local farmers first, as opposed to importing food, we would have a better society. We would have more improved food security in this nation.
I mean, well said. Because I mean, you just said it that the farmers, their issue right now is that it's not that they can't do it, but they can't do it in the volume right now that we may be able to get if we are importing it. So, what are the seems like the challenge or one of the challenges to farmers is being able to produce at the volume in which we tend to import things. And is it a case of land? Is it a case of not having enough land to do and grow the products that they would like to grow?
Yes, that is one concern. What it is one of the biggest concerns, though. Land tenure is a very big issue in this country. I don't know how many people is aware, but 85%, I would say 85%, if I had to give a average figure, of our farmers in this country are quote unquote squatters. Okay, and because of that, um, access to their subsidies, access to their necessary incentives is not possible. So I think that the Ministry of Agriculture and whoever might be in position to kind of restructure things just to assist these farmers in getting their incentives, they would be able to increase their production levels. So land tenure is a major issue.
But knowing that this is an issue, I know you said you were a part of the Agricultural Society, Agricultural Association, the one where Danu is the chairperson
Yes,
of the board.
yes, yes.
Is that what is it that your group lobbies on behalf of all farmers to the government? Because I always say this, we hear all kinds of excuses as to why we can't grow things here in Trinidad and Tobago, that we don't have enough land, which is something that I absolutely reject. Every time I take a plane to fly to Tobago, I fly across what has to be the largest and the most barren food plains that you could ever see in that central area. There's so much fertile grass. I remember taking a drive down to Barrackpore some years ago, about 2 years ago, and observing on both sides of the road just razor grass pushing off on what is clearly fertile
Yeah.
land for growth. So, if the case is that we have, well, contrary to what the government is saying, if the case is that we have the land, we have the farmers, you're saying 85%. I think Danu, when she came on the show, she said it was a figure probably closer to 85, 90%. We have the farmers, they have the capabilities, we have the land. What is the pushback from the government? What is stopping them from being able to meet your demands, give you the land, give you the tools, give you the support that you need? Over the past couple of years, what has been the reason why they were not able to support the farmers in this space?
Um, Farmers have always been pushing for land regularization. Farmers have always been hoping one day that there will be that their lands will be regularized and they will be able to get their necessary incentives. So, on behalf of the those farmers, I would say that it's really unfortunate to think that a government coming, government going, government coming and going, and yet the farmers are not being regularized. Nobody apparently is taking heed to it. Just a limited amount of farmers you would find being regularized. And as I told you, if I have to give a figure, it would be about 85% of our productive farmers in this country do not have a farmer's card and are not regularized. So they do not have access to their incentives and so on. And those incentives really go a long way if a farmer could benefit from it. But unfortunately, um, no one has looked into really assisting these farmers in a fast way to help them with their lands being regularized.
You told me that you would like to discuss youth in agriculture and how we can change their perspective about agriculture. How do you think we can go about doing that for the youth right now in Trinidad and Tobago? I don't think, well, you tell me.
I think we could go about doing that because, and how we could approach it. Food security is one of the most important things as a nation we should look at. Without food, we would end up starving. We would end up with nothing in our plates. And food security for the future as well is important. So while we may have good food security for now, we also need to secure proper food security measures for the future. One of the ways in securing proper food security measures for the future is by bringing in more young people, bringing in a lot of youths, getting them involved into agriculture, and showing them that agriculture is not just a hobby, agriculture is not just going into the mud and getting messed up. Agriculture needs to be viewed as a business, and there are new technologies now. For instance, you have the hydroponic systems, you have greenhouse farming. There are a lot of attractive agricultural technologies that these young persons can adopt and get more involved into agriculture. Also, they need to view agriculture as a science and not just a hobby, as I would say, because a lot of persons I notice they would say, well, when I turn 50 or when I turn 60, I will retire from my job and I will do some farming to the back of my house as a retirement plan. But we need to view agriculture differently. I think we need to pick up a whole brand new perspective in viewing agriculture as a business, viewing agriculture as the way forward in order to have proper food security in this country. And also the other thing, and one of the most important things, is that because most of our farmers are generally older people, senior persons, um, a lot of knowledge, a lot of experiences that they can pass on to the younger generations We can lose it if we do not get young persons involved into agriculture. There will be a gap with knowledge, a gap of knowledge missing if we do not get the young persons now involved into agriculture. So there's a lot to learn from the older heads, the older generations, a lot of experiences to gather. However, if we do not have the young people moving forward, viewing agriculture as a business, then we are going to lose out as a society in the near future to come.
Well said, but not but. And following up from that, as a young person, because this show is geared to the youth of the nation as well, we have Natalia Moore, who is the co-chair of our youth. We're trying to push a country that is forward thinking in terms of agriculture and food security and food independence, not having to depend on importing products that we can grow right here. In terms of being a youth right now, how do I go about seeing as you, I mean, all of the obstacles that you would have called and named before in terms of farmers not having access to land, farmers not getting their food, their what would you call it, the farmer's badge, I'm guessing, the farmer's identity. Seeing as it's so difficult to it seems difficult to enter the agriculture industry, how as a young person should I or would I go about becoming maybe an agronomist or farmer or somebody involved in the supply chain, the food supply chain, local food supply chain?
Well, what I would say, I would say everyone has the ability to do agriculture. I would say it's part of us, it's part of our history as a people to be involved into agriculture. And so it's just activating that. So while we all may have that talent in us, we need to activate it and we need to see where we might be more talented. The area of agriculture, yeah, the various areas in agriculture that might be more attractive to some people as opposed to the other. So some people might prefer to do animal farming, some people might prefer to do crop production, and so forth. Some people might prefer to do tilapia production. So it really depends on your likeness and what you might prefer in the agricultural sector. Also, another suggestion is to try to study agriculture more because agriculture is a science. And when we view agriculture as a science, then it becomes more successful to us. Especially young persons now, the older generations were not as fortunate. Some of them were not fortunate to read or to write or to even attend school. Now we have agriculture being offered in secondary schools. We have agriculture being offered at the universities. And also we can go on Google and try to do some studies as well. You know, we don't have to only use the internet as young people for Facebook, I would say, but we need to also look at the video internet as a medium to study. And there's a lot of useful information, I would say, in terms of agriculture. And also there are a lot of older heads who were practically involved in agriculture partly all their lives, and it's a good thing to learn from them, to gather some information from them based on their experiences and so on. They would be able to teach us some things that we may not get on the internet. We would be able to learn from some of the older folks as well.
Noted. But if I were to start, well, if I would say tomorrow I want to get into agriculture, where would you suggest as a young person, where should be my starting point? And this is just for all viewers who are viewing us. We are opening the lines for a short period between starting 8:30 for you to call in and ask Michael any agricultural or agronomist related questions. Please feel free to call in. Like I said, this is Talk It Talk Thursday. I have my own questions as it pertains to my garden, but you as well can call in and ask yours. But back to that question, if I were to get into agriculture and I decided today I want to start, where would be my starting point? Where do I jump off?
At home. You start right at home because there are a lot of being practically involved in agriculture. um, backyard gardening, somebody could consider starting. That would create that environment for the zeal, then, I would say, to get more involved into agriculture. So by just starting a little backyard garden, for instance, I have a nephew, Josiah Ishmael. I have another cousin, Amar Gillan. They are young farmers. They are teenagers, in fact, and they have started their own backyard gardening and is doing well. And I want to emphasize that if we start backyard gardening, if we start agriculture from a small scale, then we can work our way forward and even study as we progress in agriculture. So it starts at home.
Noted. So there's hope for me yet to move on from my little side pot to hopefully growing watermelon or bananas like you. Because I think it is very relaxing. It's very calming. For the first few weeks that I had this show, I had a ritual where I would get up for the show, prepare for the show. After the show is complete, go out into my little garden, which is literally a 2x4 space, water my scythe and water my mints and stuff. And Satish, you can probably put up the picture of my garden because since then it has gone kind of rogue. All kinds of weirdness is growing right now. I don't know what is garden from what is weed. I have some lettuce in the middle there. I have some celery growing. There's mint on the side. There's thyme on the side. There's chive. There's cucumber or watermelon. I have no. I honestly have no idea. But there's no planning to it at all. I just threw a whole set of seeds in it,
Yeah.
and now whatever is growing is growing. But I mean, if you had to give me some advice on my garden, because one of the things that I am experiencing right now is severe drought, I would say, if you can even say that. If I don't water my plants a day, I will come back and find all of them withering in the garden. I mean, what am I missing? Do I need to get some kind of fertilizer, or is it a soil that I'm missing, or is it that I just need to be watering it more often, twice a day? What is it?
Well, from my judgment, based on the photo I just saw, um, the plants the plants look a little malnourished. They really need some nutrition, good nutrition.
Mhm.
There is an organic plant health enhancer that I usually suggest, known as Casanic. Most people should know what is Casanic by now because I do a lot of advertising on our Farmers Voice page on Facebook. Um, Casanic is an organic plant health enhancer. It is totally organic. It is manufactured by the earthworms themselves. So it it's very effective in terms of growing leafy vegetables and so on, like the lettuce and the celery and so on. And it's totally organic, so you can use Casanic today and harvest today, as opposed to using some other fertilizer. Casanic is totally organic, and I know a lot of persons might want to head that direction. So I would suggest that. Also, I observe because they kind of jumbled up, you know. Yeah, it's the spacing. They may want to be a little more spaced out. Yeah.
It is terrible. I told you, I literally most of the things that grow in there right now were not planted initially. So the cucumbers and the watermelon, I believe that's what it is. I think there's some pimento growing there as well. I don't know what it is, but I'm afraid to pull up anything in case it's not a weed and it's actually a plant. So I've left it to go kind of rogue. A couple weeks ago, I had some garlic, which was actually doing really well, and some chickens from next door came over and they demolished the entire thing. So what you see growing there is the result of a compost heap that I had going on in a corner. Some rain fell, and all of the seeds that were mixed up in that compost heap started to grow. And I've literally left it to grow as is right now. I go and I check
Yeah.
it ever so often just to see what comes and becomes of this little garden, this little pet project that I have going on there. But definitely I would look into getting some of what you recommended. I'm doing some mint and fever grass on the side. So hopefully I could strengthen it because the fever grass looks like it's ready to die.
Oh
I don't
my.
know. I'm a terrible mother when it comes to my plants, but I have to say though, it's something I enjoy doing as part of my daily ritual. It is very relaxing, and you advising young people to get into it, even if you don't want to do this on a massive scale. Trust me, it is something that you should consider getting into. It is very relaxing. Sometimes I play music. I put on my little straw hat so the sun doesn't burn
Okay.
me. You would swear going out into a 15-acre plot, but it's just right in my backyard, and that little 2 by 4 space. But I do support everything that you're saying in terms of getting youth involved in agriculture. Satish, can you put up that number there? Because if anybody wants to call in and ask Michael their own agriculture related questions, the number to call in 769-4590. You have an expert here at your fingertips. He just gave me some tips on my garden. Hopefully my lettuce can survive long enough to actually grow into something. We will see. But
Yes,
if you
yes.
have questions on your own garden, please feel free to call in right now before Michael leaves us for the day. But while we wait to see if we have any calls, Michael, you said that land tenure is one of the biggest concerns in your industry. What else would you say are some of the problems that plague you as a farmer and the other farmers within the sector?
Predia larceny, I would say. Predia larceny comes right after land tenure because at present, I would tell you, on a daily basis, I get reports, farmers keep saying, Michael, I am losing my tomato crop, I am losing my garden equipment on a daily basis. In fact, one farmer in Princestown lost up to his seedlings. Imagine they stole his seedlings. So that is to the
Wow.
extent where Pradia larceny, the level at which Pradia larceny is at the moment. So it's very, very bad. And we understand that there's a Pradia larceny squad. We understand that farmers are also looking out for each other, but there's still limited amount of supervision in the farms and in most of the farms, I would say. So because of that, there's a lot of Pradia larceny happening currently.
With honesty, with Radio Lasny, because 2 weeks ago I listened to a news report that left me more baffled than anything of the farmers in Barco. Apparently, Pradia Lasny is a huge issue for them, and it's as bad as they know who the people are coming to rob them of the crops. And this is not just you're saying that they're taking the seedlings in farmers in Princestown. I have to say maybe the Barracoa farmers have it worse because not only are they stealing their crops, not only are they stealing their livestock, but they're actually beating up and a couple farmers said that they were tied up and left there while the men came and robbed them. And they actually know who the men in their areas are. They're reporting it to the Southwestern Division police. The police were saying that they don't have enough vehicles. The Pradia Lasney squad, according to Clarence Rambarat, that is the responsibility of the police. The police are saying they don't have vehicles. So fingers just pointing. And while fingers pointing and blame being thrown and passed around, the farmers are the ones who are suffering. So, in terms of Pradia Lasni, is that a squad or is that a division in terms of agriculture that you would say has any teeth? It doesn't seem to have much teeth in terms of actually supporting the farmers and ensuring that their crops and they themselves are not damaged.
I would say the Pradia larceny squad. I would commend them. they have been doing a good job. However, it's just a limited amount of them. And because of that, they get a lot of negative feedback from persons. But I could tell you that the Pradia Lassini, they have really been trying, the Pradia Lassini squad, they have really been trying to assist farmers with Pradia Lassini issues. But it's just a limited amount of them, and it's just so much that they can do.
What do you have an idea of the number of people in that squad? And how does it work? Is it that there's a squad that is, I don't want to say centralized, but if you're in Barraco, there's a squad that is attached to Barraco. If you're in Princestown, that there are people, or is it just a centralized thing that you dispatch people? How does it work?
Well, for instance, like Barraco, there will be a squad. There's a Princestown squad that they are located in Craignish, in Princestown. But I know for a fact that they have to run the whole of South, even as far as Cedros. So it's very, very difficult in terms of keeping up with various farming communities. But my other suggestion to farmers, invest into trail cameras. There are trail cameras that farmers could set up because they have limited source of electricity. They can invest into trail cameras. The trail cameras either come with solar panels or they can work with the regular pen light batteries, as we would say. And these trail cameras have night vision benefits, and also it does not flash. So you can easily hook up to a tree, and if someone trespasses in the land or someone comes to steal their produce, they can easily capture the person because it's a motion sensor camera. So it's one of the things that I usually suggest to farmers is to invest into a trail camera, or maybe more than one, for that purpose.
I'm reading a comment on the live here from Stephen Downer. When the majority of stolen crops end up sanitized for selling onto well-known supermarkets without strict checks, then who is actually behind it? And that is a very pertinent comment, because we here in the Progressive Empowerment Party, our plan for agriculture also includes and involves making sure that farmers have a license to sell the product, so that
Yes.
you pull up on the highway and you see a man with a truckload of watermelons. He's supposed to have a license that shows I am a watermelon farmer. As it is right now, we have people selling products that they just went and robbed or stole from another farm, and there's no way to check, there's no way to ascertain whether or not these are his products or not. And when you tell me 85% of farmers don't have access to land, can you also say how many farmers have that farmer's badge? Because it doesn't seem to be a system that has much checks and balances as it is right now.
I would say a very small percentage of farmers have that farmer's badge, maybe below 20%. From all
That's
the
even less than how many farmers have access to land.
yes, yes. And
And you see,
yeah, go on. Yeah.
no, sorry, you go ahead. You say this. This is your interview.
You see, because of, as I said earlier, because farmers do not have their farmer's card or their farmer's badge, if police happen to stop these farmers on the road, they can be held for Pradia Lassini, maybe, because they do not have anything to show that they are a bona fide farmer. So it is important that the persons in place in the Ministry of Agriculture ensure the farmers at least have a badge to at least sell their produce or to market their produce, or some form of document. I know they had a temporary badge that they used to offer maybe about 2 years ago, but they had discontinued that. And now it leaves everybody in the dark because farmers now, a farmer might be going up the road comfortable with his produce. Predial Larceny squad could stop him. He has no evidence that he's a farmer. So it is important that the Ministry of Agriculture do their necessary parts in terms of, probably arranging some kind of document so that the farmers now would be able to be recognized as producers and not just somebody who just have this big load of produce and cannot give account for it. In that
I'm,
Mhm. And in that light,
no, I was going to say, mhm.
and in that light now, other persons will now be identified as quote unquote thieves or bandits. If we recognize that, okay, they don't have a badge, they don't have a license to market the produce, they do not have a receipt where they purchase the produce or any transaction document, then the police and so forth can go on and take the necessary actions.
What you're suggesting there, and this dovetails, and it is part of, like I was saying, the Progressive Empowerment Party's plan for farmers. It literally solves two problems in one go. One, you get farmers a licensed and registered system under which they can sell their products. And two, you almost eliminate the problem of predial larceny. You can
Yes,
no longer go rob a man, take his crops, beat him up, tie him up, and then go and sell it down in on the highway on the beat up. You can no longer do that. And the idea and the fact that this has not yet been a plan that has been properly ruled out. I mean, we have a lot of ministers of agriculture come in and out and pay lip service to agriculture. It starts with basic systems and plans just to secure the livelihood of the farmers. I wouldn't want to get involved in a business where I know there is a high percentage or a high chance that at the end of my business or nearing the end of my business I can lose it entirely. That is what we're telling our farmers right now, that farming is a risk, that you can be robbed, you can you're not getting the land in which to grow your products. No wonder
that's right.
agriculture is stifled to the degree that it is right now in Trinidad and Tobago. And before we go, because I see we're running out of time, someone asked on the live, maybe you can enlighten us, maybe he can enlighten us, well, you, on the hydroponics a bit if one does not have much land to use. So can you just give that viewer some information on the hydroponic system?
Yes, the hydroponic system is a new form of technology, I would say, introduced here. And a lot of farmers of recent, especially young farmers, see it very attractive to get involved into hydroponic farming. Um, from an input supplier perspective, being employed with Carlson Chemicals, we have a number of hydroponic fertilizers, hydroponic nutrients per se, then greenhouse grade fertilizers that is available for farmers who are involved in hydroponic systems. Also, we can give you advice on how you can actually proceed with your hydroponic system. And any questions concerning the hydroponic system, we would be able to assist you all. Also, we have a range of fungicides, a range of insecticides that are also available, and a range of seeds. And if farmers are interested and you want to get into hydroponic farming and you have limited access to land, come visit us at Carlson Chemicals Limited, and we would be able to assist you further with that.
Michael, I want to thank you very much for joining us on the program today. I think you brought a lot of enlightenment to myself and the viewers. My kitchen garden will thank you. It thanks you on behalf of itself because, like what you're seeing happening there, real madness going on. It literally took a turn for the worse, but it's still my baby, and I do hope to bring it to the place of where it should be instead of where it is right now. Um,
I
can
if
you
I could, Mhm.
go ahead?
If I could just say one thing, there's the Farmer's Voice page that I usually have on Facebook.
I was just about to
Advertising,
say that. If you could give
promotion.
them some info on where they can reach out to you. So you tell them all of that information, your number, the page. This is your opportunity to speak to the audience.
Well, anybody want to reach me? There's the Farmer's Voice page, as I said, on Facebook. I usually do a lot of promotions on that page. I try to educate the farmers and the viewers on that page and to get more young persons involved in agriculture. So usually I would do advertisements with young persons advertising their produce and so forth, offering that service somewhat to kind of encourage more youths into agriculture. My contact number is 771 Um, you can WhatsApp me pictures with your produce. You can ask questions. I would try my best to sort you out with that. And also, you can always email me. My email is godlymike@live.com. So if you want to send an email, no problem. So, yeah, that's it really.
All right, and thank you very much for joining me on the program today. I also have to thank my executive assistant, Zeda Mohammed, for setting up this interview. I think this was perfect and a perfect addition to Talk It Talk Thursday. And Michael, I do hope to have you back in some capacity discussing more on agriculture as we seek to raise awareness of the importance of agriculture, food independence, and food security right here and right now in Trinidad and Tobago, particularly during these COVID-19 times where people are realizing we need to be food independent and we need to secure the food of the nation. So
Yes,
enjoy
yes.
your day and we will definitely be in contact.
Thank you so much, Felicia. It was a privilege being here this morning with you guys, and anywhere I could be of an assistance, please let me know.
Most definitely. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right. So that was Michael Babulal, an agronomist who came on the program to discuss agriculture, youth in agriculture, and some of the ways that agriculture can benefit us here in Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, we hear the issues that face farmers all of the time. We try to bridge those gaps, but I do have to add that until we have a government that wants to give agriculture the attention that it needs, I think we would most likely just be spinning top in mud. But that doesn't mean that us as individuals can't begin our own home gardens like you saw with my home garden. It doesn't mean that we can't make that step towards being food independent, even if on a small scale. Joining us now is Miss Hadassah Charles McLeod, who is in the waiting room. Good morning, Hadassah. I am not hearing you. I'm not sure if your audio is on mute or.
Yes, I think I wasn't waiting for too long. Good morning, Felicia. How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
Good morning, Hadassah. Lovely to have you on the program as always.
Thank you.
Hadassah Charles McLeod is usually here as a co-host for the program. This morning, she is on the hot seat, the Talk Your Talk seat, where she will be interviewed. Hadassah Charles McLeod, for those who
Oh,
know or may not.
wow.
Oh, you thought you was coming here to ask the questions? No, ma'am. The questions are gonna be asked of you. And
Oh,
that's the
wow.
Charles McLeod. And I love saying your entire name. I think it's so romantic. Charles McLeod. Sounds like something straight out of Pride and Prejudice. Hadassah Charles McLeod is actually just left me as part of the finance team. Hadassah would have joined us um, as part of finance under the barrel sale initiative, the barrel sale which is coming up this Saturday, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later on in the program. But Hadassah is stuck in, and I always forget, New Jersey.
Yes, East
New
Orange,
Jersey.
New
Right.
Jersey.
Hadassah is stuck in New Jersey right now due to COVID-19. I think she actually tried to run away from us, but there's no escaping us. We would find you on technology and bring you.
Wow.
If the what is the saying? If the something wouldn't come to something, then they bring the something to the something. Whatever. I can't remember
Yeah,
the quote exactly.
if you can't get to the
Mountain would
mountain, bring the mountain to Muhammad. If Muhammad can't
yes.
get to the mountain, bring
Bring
yeah.
the mountain to Muhammad. Exactly. And that's what we're doing. Thank God for technology. We brought Hadassah to us and we're able to have her
Wow.
come in to the show even though she is abroad right now. So Hadassah, you're not here, but you have just left me in terms of finance. I mean, that's very sad, but you left me for a new role that you have taken up this week, which is or deals with online membership and signing up members online. If you just tell the audience, the viewers, a little bit more about your new role and what you would be doing in terms of your functionality in that role.
Okay, well, basically, one of my jobs really is to how should I say, um, spot potential peppers online and direct them to the party, or to help anybody who wants to become affiliated with the party or who wants to join, help them in doing that.
Hadassah, and I have to credit myself as the person who saw this potential in you. I mean, Philip, Sean, and I may fight over that, but I think I spotted it first, and this was weeks ago. Like I said, I know you came aboard in the finance team, but not being here physically would have posed a challenge to that. And one thing I
Indeed.
noticed weeks ago was the way you seem to have with people online. And when I say the way you seem to have with people, I have dealt with my fair share of trolls. I have dealt with my fair share of people who come in and it's almost a script that you can hear. How are they going to be different? How we know are they not going to thief? But we hear the same thing from all the parties before. But you, Hadassah, you seem to
Yes.
have a way of converting the naysayers. You seem to also have a lot of patience. What is your secret?
The secret is that I myself was a naysayer, and I know what it is like to be on the other side when you are disenchanted and disgruntled and unhappy, looking for alternative and looking for answers. So you have not quite decided where you want to be yet politically, but you find yourself in a position where you're scrutinizing the newcomers more because of all the bad experiences that you've had. So I think I'm a little more gentle with them because I see myself in a lot of people, and I know what it is like to be feeling disenchanted and dissatisfied and so let down by a government and looking for answers.
Indeed, and that's something that I have to say I have noticed more than often, most times in since I've been doing this, you see people come on and they're very antagonizing in the beginning, and they snipe at you and they say, "How are they going to be the friends?" And but then when you drill down and you have a conversation with them, you get to realize exactly what you say. A lot of people, they're just disenchanted with politics as it is, and they see another political party and they tend to feel it's just a different side to the same coin. And it takes a lot of
Yeah,
coaxing and things that many of us who have other responsibilities don't have time to do. So you find a lot of times that you dismiss these people as just being here to disturb the conversation, and you dismiss what they're about, when in time sometimes, just like you said, they just need somebody to talk them through it, to actually have an ongoing and running conversation with them. And
indeed.
Hadassah, like, okay, you would start off seeing somebody talking to Hadassah, throwing all kinds of comments and thing, and then at the end of it, Hadassah is getting these people to sign up. And I have to also ask, how do you manage? What is your secret to staying so calm? Because some people, they can be very antagonizing. How do you manage to not blow a fuse? I consider myself somebody who's patient, but you seem to have the patience and the calmness of an angel. Like, how do you how do you manage?
This is something that people tell me a lot, even in my past job where I actually used to work talking to people on the phone, helping them with their reservations and stuff like that. And when I would get a very difficult customer, the thing about it is I feel the turmoil internally, but somehow I manage to keep my cool on the outside, and somehow that has managed to translate to social media. It's not that you're not feeling frustrated or anything like that, but I also believe that because the PEP is in a very peculiar situation in that we are under media blackout. So our only means really of reaching and meeting people is via social media. And I believe it's a very, very great tool. And I just really try to maximize it and take advantage of it and have a conversation with somebody that I probably would have never spoken to um, if it wasn't, for whatever the topic is or the conversation is. Clearly, it's something the person is passionate about. It's just that, like I said before, they disenchanted. So, yeah, it's just about exercising patience and recognizing that um, if you believe that you are the hope or you can give somebody hope, then yeah, you have to find a way to get the medicine to them.
Indeed, and well said. Your job is it's a tremendous job. It will take, I don't want to say it will take a lot out of you. I'm not trying to scare you at all, but you do have a very important role to play. Like you said, our main outreach is social media, it is online, and you are the interface between new members and interested people, even the naysayers coming on videos, coming on our inbox, coming on our posts sometimes to derail the conversation, but sometimes, often, most times, looking for the right answers that can change their minds and make them believe that this political option is not just the same old. So you do have a very
Yeah.
important role to play in that. And at this point, I will just ask you to let the viewers and the audience know how they can reach out to you. They can reach out to the PP to join, learn more, or become part of the membership of the Progressive Empowerment Party.
Okay. Well, it's really very simple. If you would like to join, you can visit our website, peptt.com. When you go there, you can click on the option that says join. Once you do that, and you fill out the form, you will automatically be sent an email package that will give you directions as to how you can pay the registration fee. The registration fee is just $20. Um, and you can pay that via direct deposit or via online transfer to our FCB account, which is named Progressively Empowering People. And that account number is 243-3541. Let me say it again. It's an FCB account, Progressively Empowering People, 243-3541. This is still new information to me too, so I have to read it. I'm sorry. Also, the thing about it is, um, the thing about what I like about the PEP 2 is once you come in contact with it and once how should I put it, the scales have fallen from your eyes and you see what we are trying to accomplish, you actually want to get enjoyed. There's something that is very energizing and invigorating about being a PEP member. And you also feel like, okay, I need to spread the word. I want to let people know. I want to be part of the great change. You can also do that. You can click on the volunteer option on the website. And once you do that, you can put in your information and we will reach out to you within 2 to 3 days, directing you to one of the relevant hub leaders. and get you involved so that you too can be part of this great wave of change. People can also contact me. My phone number is 377-1206. They can contact me via WhatsApp, or they can just find me on Facebook and send me a direct message. Am I missing anything?
I think you were actually very thorough. The only thing I would add into that is if you want to email us, you can get us at peptrinbago@gmail.com. That's the email for the party if you have any questions, but you can also find us on our Facebook page, Progressive Empowerment Party. Hadassah is tagged to that inbox. So if you're looking for a nice, calm, gentle soul, Hadassah would be there to deal with you and definitely convert you into a pepper. I'm seeing I'm getting calls, but we are actually let's make this call Hadassah because this may be a call directed to you. Let's hear what this person has to say.
Oh wow.
Oh, I missed. Well, the person seemed to have hung up. Apologies for that, but we will reopen the phone lines when we come back from this break. If you have any questions for Hadassah, you can reach her on any of those contact and channels that she would have put out to you. Hadassah, thank you very much for coming on the program in the capacity as our online membership liaison right now. I think you're doing a tremendous job. Please keep, according to you, spreading the word. I was telling Maurice yesterday when he says it like that, he says spreading the good word. I say we sound like a religious organization, but he said no. Sometimes I said it yesterday. I said, I mean, as much as Jesus is the good word of good governance is also something that we have to spread to the nation of Trinidad and Tobago. I don't think they have had that before, so it's time to let them know that there's another good word that they should pay attention to. Ma'am, any closing comments before you go to break?
No, not to digress really, but I just want to tell you that I was listening to you and Michael when I was in the waiting room, and you have really inspired me to attempt gardening again. Some years ago, I adopted a baby cactus and it died. Nobody kills a cactus. That is almost impossible because they grow in the desert, but somehow I managed to kill one. But now I feel inspired and I'm really going to try again. I really am going to try again.
I mean, I'm not making fun of I kind of am making fun of the fact that we killed the cactus, but I'm glad it was a cactus and not a baby cat. I thought you were going to say you adopted a baby cat and you killed it. I'm like, oh my God.
No, because I need this big announcement, but yeah, I'm going to try again. And I think it's a good initiative for a lot of people to indeed get involved in. If it's one thing that we have learned from COVID-19, the importance of being food independent. So I just wanted to say that I'm on board with that.
Nice. We have converted another farmer. Next step is to get you your land and your farmer's badge.
Indeed.
All right, people. We're going to go to a short break and come back with more Talk Your Talk. The lines are going to be open after I show you a clip from yesterday that our political leader did. Lies, lies, and more lies. And today's Talk Your Talk Thursday, but maybe it's also Talk the Truth Thursday. We will be right back.
Antel is Trinidad's most reliable and technically experienced ICT company, providers of quality structured cabling, Cat6 data fiber, and power cables. We also stock cabling infrastructure basket-type cable trays for server rooms and data centers. Antel also installs and maintains video security systems including cameras, alarms, and electronic entrance locks for businesses and residential properties. Call Antel 674-1406 or 783-9250.
Science says that countries that have the greatest number of home ownership among families have the lowest levels of crime. Trinidad and Tobago has massive poverty, runaway crime, and an economy that makes no sense to anyone looking in from outside. We also suffer from the impact of corruption and narco trafficking dollars being hidden in real estate, driving the prices up and drying up the supply. Banking in Trinidad and Tobago, unregulated, our mortgage system creates a scenario where the average house, the average home, by the time it is fully paid off, would have cost the homeowner twice and more the value initially paid. The government can impact home ownership, redevelop the family, end crime, and take Trinidad and Tobago to first world status simply by securing the nation's borders to end the drug trade and stuffing the containers on the port again to end the drug trade, to create a property tax system that calls for 0% tax on primary dwellings, a 5% tax on secondary homes, a 10% tax on third homes, 15% on fourth homes, and escalating until by the 10th house that you own is so onerous in taxes to keep that you have no choice but to sell it or pay full value of that house to the state every year. We need to do this to drive corruption dollars and drug dollars out of real estate and bring the prices back in reach with the average income, the average wage, the average salary. Trinbagonians do not get full value for their money, and that is a conversation we have to have. But when we're talking housing, to get the average person into their own home, it is a right and a privilege of the state to be able to offer to these people zero deposit, zero interest for up to 30 years on up to homes valued up to $1.5 million. This would reduce the mortgage payments to about $500 per $100,000. And if we remove the duties and the VATs and all of the taxes on all of the building materials and open the market to competition to drive the prices down, the cost of building the average 1,200 square foot starter home will not exceed $100,000. And with $500 a month as a mortgage payment, even minimum wage earners would be able to afford their own home. The numbers say that in countries where families own their own homes, crime is at its lowest. The Progressive Empowerment Party is very sure, in fact, we're certain, that of all the policies that we build our 21 policies on, home ownership is the most important of all the important ones. We propose zero deposit, zero interest for up to 30 years on homes up to $1.5 million. Normal bank lending criteria apply. In Trinidad and Tobago, no one policy has the greatest opportunity to impact upon the development of the society like home ownership. The Progressive Empowerment Party promises to make home ownership for all a central pillar in all of our economic development. I am Philip Edward Alexander, and this has been 3 minutes to a better Trinidad and Tobago.
We are back. What's going on right here? We are back from that short break, and today, like I said, is Talk Your Talk Thursday. So we are encouraging people to call in and talk. We don't do a poll on a Thursday. Satish was reminding me, or asking me rather, if we are doing a poll today. I know I don't run a poll on a Thursday. I want you to call in and talk your talk with me, ask your questions, discuss anything that you would have heard on our discussions this morning, the live interviews that we had with Michael who is an agronomist from Hadassah, Charles McLeod, who is now part of our online membership team. And while we wait on those calls to come in this morning, last night while I was preparing for the show, I was listening to Philip's Y Live video. And while I was working on the topics for this morning, I swear to God, he touched on every single thing that I wanted to or want to discuss with you in this remaining hour of the program. And his wildlife video, it would have addressed the issue of the cameras by Cookery that were installed that he raised the question about on Tuesday. He also discussed Dennis Moses and his response to us not being bound by the Rio Treaty. He also raised the questions with our second wave that we're reportedly supposed to be bracing for, that Terence Yalting seems to be trying to instill some fear mongering, and it does set the tone for the discussion or the remainder of the discussion this morning. So we're going to play that clip and then start the discussion.
Trinidad and Tobago, good day. I want to mark the date, it's the 27th of May, because we need to mark the dates on these videos now to keep track of the lies. I want to ask these government ministers, have you sworn to lie? Why is it so easy to lie? Rohan Sinanan is the first one I want to deal with. Rohan Sinanan jump out himself, leave his house, went by every TV station that would take him, write to every newspaper that would report on him, saying, I am a failed politician and what I say is nonsense. Rohan Sinanan, if I am a failed politician, your phone never ring 1,000 times. If I am a failed politician, it didn't summon the cabinet. If I am a failed politician, the whole country didn't believe me and not believe you. And still to this day, the country don't believe you. Why lie? Why lie, Rohan Sinanan? Who installed the cameras in Cocorite? Why the subterfuge? Why the people don't know why 3 cameras, 1 in each lane, in 3 lanes, facing in 2 directions? Why lie? If they're not traffic cameras, what kind of cameras are they? And why not come straight with the people? Rohan. But I want to tell all of Trinidad and Tobago, especially the media, CNC3 and TV6, you all are doing a disservice to yourself and to journalism. Because if a minister has to hurry up, rush out his house to come and debunk something I say, because the whole country gone with it, I'm not a failed politician, and you're supposed to give me a hearing. You're supposed to call me to ask me to rebut what the minister says. If not, the media is acting as an arm of the government and broadcasting propaganda, and the people are going to see you for what you are. Rohan Sinanan, you've not yet answered the question. If those cameras are not traffic cameras, what are they? What are they? And to the people that you're fooling, that because they have 4 driveways on Western Main Road, Cocorite, that is why that is a main road and not a highway. Brother, you lie again. Because Peaks and Econoca and Bayside Towers and West Shore Hospital and West Mall could dump into laybys, and the other 2 lanes could still stay 80 kilometers per hour. Keep the laybys at 50 kilometers per hour, as is the law. Anything else you lie. Mr. Moses, Foreign Affairs Minister, I want to ask you a simple question. You're out of the thing. Nobody even looking for you. Why come in the thing and why lie? Why tell Trinidad and Tobago for the Express and the Guardian to broadcast today that we're not signatory to the Rio Treaty, so we don't have to worry about the sanctions, we not bound by it? Mr. Moses, if we're not bound by it, why did the ship have to turn off its transmitter beacon for 29 days? Why? If we are not bound by sanctions and we could ship what the hell we want to Venezuela, why go an extra 800 miles out of its way to sail around Aruba to pretend as if the fuel was going to Aruba? Why lie? Why lie? From Trinidad to Venezuela is 7 miles. Straight. Why lie? If we are not bound by the treaty and we have no risk for sanctions, why did Stuart Young have to lie on the U.S. ambassador and force the U.S. ambassador to step outside of his diplomatic protocols to come and say Stuart Young lie? Why lie? Why did we have to ship the fuel to Aruba, sail around Aruba, and go to Venezuela if we're not at risk of sanctions? And why lie? The people of Aruba say they had no transaction with Stuart Young. Keith Rowley, on this issue, What is keeping you from making the invoices public? If this is a Trinidad shipment where Trinidad bought fuel and Trinidad sold it to Venezuela, surely there is an invoice somewhere of what we bought, how much we paid for it, and how much we sold it for. Keith Rowley, why are you lying to the public of Trinidad and Tobago? Is it true that it is one of your 1% financier friends that is using Trinidad and Tobago and putting Trinidad and Tobago at risk, that is actually the beneficiary of that fuel and has been the beneficiary of more fuel sales that the people just don't know about, and that we only know because the United States Navy and military is down here by Venezuela, so we're finding out now? Who is actually, Keith Rowley, I am asking you, why are you lying to the public of Trinidad and Tobago? Who is the actual financial beneficiaries of the fuel that was shipped to Venezuela? And finally, Dayal Singh, who told the nation to hunker down, a second wave coming to wipe us out. I had to go outside La Fantasy and tell Trinidad and Tobago there's a reason the Prime Minister's house in Trinidad is named La Fantasy, because there's a set of fantasy and lies coming out of there. I had to totally debunk Dayal Singh's nonsense about the second wave and ask him, if we shut down 2 months now and the airport closed, where the second wave coming from, Terence? Your mommy, the whole country asks the same question. Lo and behold, the same Terence Dayal Singh who is telling you that I lie is calling a public meeting tomorrow, the 28th, Thursday the 28th of May. If there is a second wave coming, Terence Dayal Singh, how can you call the people out to a public meeting and put them at risk? Which is the truth, Terence Dayal Singh? Is there a second wave, or have you been lying all along? Every single minister in this PNM government is guilty of atrocious and egregious lies. From the Attorney General, who looked into faces of his 2 children breaking the law in Kumuto and denied that those were his children. It started there. This entire government is a fabrication and a farce, and it is time Trinidad and Tobago stand up to them and tell them, stop the blasted lies. Come straight or hush and wait till election so we could kick your lying asses into the dustbin of our political history.
And there we heard it. I don't even want to spend long on Mr. Rohan Sinanan and his bag of nonsense with the cameras and just gross misbehavior, if you had to ask me, using the government's seal and stamp and letterhead to bash PEP political leader Philip Alexander. I mean, that was petty and childish and just beyond even mentioning. But the fact that, the media has not allowed us to, or allowed Philip to give a response on it, I don't think it can point out anymore just how biased and connected to the same people that they claim to be distant from, in terms of them not allowing us to respond. But that aside, the next issue, which is of Mr. Dennis Moses, and at the start of this whole debacle with Delcy coming to Trinidad and everything that took place on March the 27th to now, the question I have been asking all along is, how come we're not hearing from Minister Dennis Moses? I mean, after all, he is the Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs. He should be the one or the mouthpiece on this issue, as opposed to Minister Stuart Young, who seemed to be getting his foot in his mouth every time he opened his mouth to speak. And I kept asking that question until Tuesday, when Mr. Moses finally opened his mouth, and I realized this is why we have not been hearing from him, because he just came and added to the whole mess of that Stuart Young and Keith Rowley started, and seemingly made the situation even worse. And where he came out and said that we are not bound by the Rio Treaty. And one of our members, Debly Jaikran, she made a post last night that I asked Satish to screenshot and put up there. She asked the question, well, Mr. Moses, if I'm to follow from what you're positing, sorry, I didn't vote for PNM in the last election, therefore I am not bound by any laws created or amended under this government. How you like them apples? Dumbass Chronicles, PNM logic. And I mean, she summed it up there perfectly. If, as much as we didn't sign, because Trinidad and Tobago was one of 3 countries that did not sign that to impose sanctions on Venezuela, in terms of we abstained, Cuba, I believe they were absent, and Uruguay voted against the plan to impose sanctions on Venezuela. And this happened last year, December the 3rd, 2019. We did not attend that meeting, so we did not, we chose not to vote on that particular issue. And, oh, we're getting a call. Hello, good morning. You're live on Prep Talks in the morning.
Yes, I heard something there that what Philip said that they call it a political meeting, PNN.
A public
Is that true?
meeting.
What? That's madness. Then bars could open and churches could go on. If PNN could call a meeting before announcing to the public that they have in public gatherings. So what kind of madness is this? This is crazy.
Absolute madness, and said from a man who, and I'm sorry I didn't post that picture, coming from a man who is wearing his mask again incorrectly. I don't know, somebody needs to show Terrence Yalsing how to wear a mask. I mean, you're the Minister of Health, for God's sake. You're the one, and the irony of it is he's pointing at a sign that says wear your mask, and you're wearing your mask incorrectly. God help this man. But
he was actually correcting somebody the other day about wearing a mask wrong, and I remember he was the first person in public with pictures and videos with him wearing it wrong. And for PNN to do this, to call a meeting before announcing to the public that they are having public gatherings, what they're giving themselves a favor of having a first meeting without letting anybody else know that they could have public meetings. What's really going on? These people so upside down. I can't believe they're doing this. And then what about the churches? What are they just the bar people alone who are going to their watering holes will not vote for them because a man can't go and sit down and drink a beer in a bar and you having public meetings? What madness is this?
no,
Even in mosque, it was just Egypt the other day. They having a public meeting now and they couldn't have no Eid Sunday. I call on all Muslims to bland them. Don't give them no vote. YCP is the only opposition. Where's the UNC? Y'all are the only people talking these things. Philip is the only man that questioning the government and Kamla and everybody else quiet. I have said this years ago, that the UNC is just a fake opposition. They let them do whatever they want. And here is Philip balling out his lungs, his guts, putting his life at risk, standing up in the middle of the highway trying to show people what's going on here. And people saying he too arrogant and too this and that man's brave.
he's too truthful. That is the problem. He tells the truth that we don't want to hear. He tells the truth that everybody wants to pretend is not the truth. And I say today's Talk Your Talk Thursday, but it's also Talk the Truth Thursday because everything that he said in that video is spot on. And Satish just put up that invitation to the meeting that Terrence Yalsing put out, and Philip's response to it, which is, if they are calling public meetings, we want to be able to call ours too. We have people straining at the leashes right now to have meetings within their constituency. So let us know. It's just like when they had the walk. Jason Williams was walking around last week Friday. No mask, no announcement that you can now walk about and meet the public, to which we had to inquire from the police commissioner, to which we had to get permission because, the PEP, we like to do things the right way. When we have public meetings, we write our letters and get permission to have meetings, not like people who call public meetings and don't go through the proper channels. But we like to do things the right way. But it seems as if this government is using the privilege of being in government to do whatever the hell they like.
It's unbelievable that everybody just taking it and staying quiet. So people don't like to hear the truth and just watch the country go down the drain. I don't understand. You wouldn't stand up for their own self. What is wrong with Trinidadians? Like they're not trans.
Don't worry, we beating that trance out of them, and this is
Right.
metaphorically. We ain't literally coming to beat you. So don't quote Felicia from the PEP as saying that we're coming to beat up people. Thank you very much for your call this morning.
Right.
You heard from that caller. The lines are open 769-4590. If you want to call in and talk your talk, we would love to hear from you. I was discussing Dennis Moses, this crazy man. I think we hired a psycho or somebody to be our Minister of Foreign Affairs, because I mean he came and made a situation. He took a situation that was already bad, and I swear to you, he made it worse. We're saying that we are not bound by the treaty, even though the U.S. ambassador is saying that we are bound by the treaty, whether or not we chose to sign. Of the 19 member states, the 19 members of the Organization of American States, 16 would have signed in favor of imposing sanctions, whether we abstained, whether we voted against or not. The majority rules. And I wanted to add to this convo by saying Trinidad and Tobago, our diplomatic relationships seem confused at best, because the reason why we're saying we are not in line with the sanctions that are being imposed on Venezuela is that we have a policy of non-interference, and that we're in harmony with the United Nations and CARICOM's position, which recognizes Maduro as the legitimate president of Venezuela. However, we are a part of the Organization of American States. I don't understand in the world of diplomatic relations and relationships and foreign affairs and all of this. I mean, I'm no expert, but how can you be members or a member of two groups with two very distinct opposing ideologies? I don't understand that. One group that you're a part of is in favor of sanctions. Another group that you're a part of is not in favor of sanctions. And I mean, I'm no expert, but it seems to be that our political and foreign and diplomatic relations are very confused. And I mean, it would make sense because this entire government that we have right now seems to be a confused one. But going back to the question, now that we're saying that we are not bound by any Rio Treaty rules, and we don't have to abide by the rules under the Rio Treaty, why then did we go through all of that subterfuge? Why did we go through all of the deceit with regards to the the fuel that we sold to Venezuela, bringing nonsense, having Aruba now coming back to say we were in no way involved, all of the deception and the secrecy surrounding the Vice President's visit, Delcy Rodriguez, to Trinidad back in March. If we are not bound by the treaty, why all of the lies? Why the deception? Why? And further to that question, why did we abstain from voting on that voting in the whole Organization of American States back in December last year? What is our reason? And I kept asking this question, what is our reason for being so in favor of Venezuela? And I say this because, again, seeing that our foreign affairs and diplomatic relations are so confused, where we have our feet in the OAS as well as our feet in the United Nations and CARICOM states, which have opposing views, we also are caught between appeasing the United Nations, who in one release we are saying they are our greatest allies and we enjoy very friendly relationships. Last week, the Prime Minister, in a bid to appease the United States and in a bid to appease the United States ambassador, called a video conference meeting with himself, Stuart Young, and Moses to smoothen over the situation that arose when Stuart Young was revealed to be the liar in chief that he is, where he said that discussions were not had on whether there would be whether we broke the Rio, well, the rules under the Rio Treaty, and we had to force, he literally forced the United States ambassador to do something out of character, which is comment on a private meeting. And after that very embarrassing slapdown, that very embarrassing makeout, as the Chinese would say, Keith Rowley and they had to literally go and call a meeting to try and appease the relationship between ourselves and the United States. So we have that happening, and on the other hand, we have us going out of our way to be involved with Venezuela, a country that the same people on one side that we're trying to win things over with and smoothen things over with, the same people they have an issue with. Right now, the United States, it's no secret that they are out for Venezuela. When I say out for Venezuela, all of those the majority of those officials who came to Trinidad and Tobago back in March, they have sanctions imposed on them. They have sanctions imposed on Maduro, sanctions imposed on his wife, Delcy Rodriguez, some of the men who came in that delegation from the PDVSA board. Yet again, we find ourselves caught in the middle of these two parties. And I'm not sure if Dennis Moses, again, I'm not an expert, but I'm not sure if this policy of so-called non-interference is just going to land us in even hotter water, because it's like the friend who sits on the fence in between two people who they are so-called loyal to and refusing to actually pick a side. At the end of the day, somebody would eventually end up making the decision for you. And in this case, we need as a country to decide whether we want to land on the side of Venezuela or we want to land on the side of the United States. And it is getting to that point, and I see us getting to a place where we would inevitably have to choose. Or if we don't choose, the choice is definitely going to be made for us. Anyway, moving on to the next why question, and the last caller would have just raised it with Mr. Terence Dialsing. He's calling a public meeting tomorrow in the midst of him saying that the first wave is not over. We're still going through the first wave. And this is the fear-mongering that I wanted to raise by Mr. Terence Dialsing. At this point, I think the nation is starting to see through what you're trying to do. We have had no new cases of the coronavirus. This, as of yesterday, would have been, or Tuesday the 26th, would have been a month now since we have had no new cases of the virus. The people that we are bringing in, they're in quarantine, so they're not supposed to be mingling with the general public, even though I got some word, can't say who, so it's alleged that one of the people who came back from a recent quarantine trip was seen driving around in his Mercedes-Benz, not calling any names. But if we have, and Philip asked the question that turned into an international meme, if the airports closed and we have had no new cases for the past month, where is the second wave supposed to come from? Where are we supposed to be importing, because we like to use that word, where are we importing these new cases from? And is this a way of controlling the population? Never let a good crisis go to waste. Depending on what kind of government you are, I'm sorry, I missed your call, whoever was calling. Depending on the type of government that you are, would determine the way you prolong what is this crisis. And I'm seeing, and the public is starting to see and question whether this government is now using coronavirus, which, yes, we know it's a global pandemic, because he's quoting figures from the rest of the world saying that there are over 5 million cases of coronavirus. And yes, we are very much aware that in some countries like the United States, the numbers seem to still be climbing. But here in Trinidad and Tobago, the same Trinidad that you were crediting for being so forward thinking with our decision making and locking down the borders and everything that we wanted to pat ourselves on the back for, that we copied and pasted from other countries who are also doing as successful. For all of that, where are we getting the second wave from? And how are you basing our first wave on international figures? Can you realistically use international figures for us here in Trinidad and Tobago when we have had no new cases? And are you now using the virus and the global pandemic as a means to exert control on the population of Trinidad and Tobago? Because you're literally contradicting yourself, telling people you can't go here, you can't go to the bars, you can't do this, you can't do that. Yet you yourself calling a public meeting to happen today. And I mean, for those who can pick sense from nonsense, I think you would ask the question. As it is right now, I'm living and going about my life, this mask life that I absolutely hate. Every time I jump out of my car, walk to a storefront and forget my mask and have to turn around and go back. I understand that this is a new normal and this is a new way of living, at least for the next couple months, maybe even longer than that. But I am, as a citizen, who is very much concerned about my rights, I am telling other citizens, please be wary that our rights are not being entirely infringed upon and trampled on, because we're seeing we're closed and certain public offices are closed to the general public, yet I see behind the scenes that they seem to be open to certain political organizations. Again, not calling any names, and like the media, I would use the words allegedly to save myself from any cases being flung at me for defamation, which we know they like to do for people who raise questions that challenge what they are trying to get us to accept as normal. Anyway, moving on to the next topic, the state of our healthcare system. Someone sent me a video last night. His wife is in the hospital. I personally have not been to the Port of Spain General Hospital in a while. Thank you, Lord. I have had no reason to be there. Knock on this wooden handle of my chair right now that I don't ever have to be. I mean, I have had my only experiences in the public healthcare system have thankfully been positive, but I know this is not the case for many people. And not having been to the Port of Spain General Hospital in a while, I have not seen what the hospital conditions have deteriorated into. I have heard reports, and thankfully or not, I got this video from this person who asked to remain anonymous. His wife is in the hospital, and this is what he had to show us live from the Port of Spain General Hospital.
This is our healthcare system. The condition here. This is where people come to die. Look at the condition of this place. This is the condition of this place. Going in the yard. What's that? I couldn't help but show you all that. The condition of the fixtures. My goodness. Where the hospital come to? Wow.
Now, when he first sent me that video, I barely looked at it, and then I had to watch it over because I remember I'd read his message saying he was at the hospital. And then I said, wait, hold on, is this a video clip of the hospital itself? I first looked at the wrought iron that was lying next to the drain outside the window. Then I looked at the benches where you have to sit and wait. I guess the wait for to be attended to or wait for your loved one, the benches looking dirty. I looked at the corridors, which just looked so dismal and dilapidated. The ceiling, the piping that looked rusty, and I didn't want to believe. I mean, I know it. I know it. You hear about it all the time. Our public health care system is in a mess. It is in shambles. But I didn't want to believe this is the place that you have to go to get better. And just that's just putting it simplistically. That is the place where you're supposed to go if you are in trouble, in need of medical assistance. That place that looks like a place full of fear and hopelessness. I mean, I remember watching a particular medical show. I can't remember the exact name. It wasn't ER, but it was a medical show that I used to watch on Lifetime, and I remember specifically looking at one of the wards that was dedicated to children. I think it was a children's ward, and everything about the setup and the layout of it as a hospital. It was bright, it was cherry, it was, nice colors. There were paintings on the wall, and I'm not saying $1 million paintings, but paintings to evoke a feeling of happiness, things to evoke feelings of hope. And I compare that to what I saw in that video when he first sent it to me. And it's no wonder, I mean, obviously it's a reflection of the entire failure of the healthcare system, but it is no wonder that when people go to the hospital, they tend to feel a sense of fear because there's nothing around you. Looking at that video, there's nothing around you that makes you even believe it is a hospital. Like I said, I first thought it was I wasn't sure what it was, and I didn't believe at first that it was a ward of a hospital. But there's nothing around you that is supposed to evoke a feeling of hope, nothing around you that is supposed to make you feel calm or relaxed during a period that is obviously, a one that is full of anxiety. I mean, you're in a waiting room in a hospital, for God's sakes. Of course, you're going to have some level of fear and anxiety. Everything about it was just depressing. It was dilapidated. It was unfortunate. And I mean, to go there with one problem and then have that environment, to be in that environment, it is sad to say the least. And when I say I am happy that I don't have to ever go to the hospital or have to have any dealings in the hospital, it is because of that. I mean, apart from the fact that you're not sure whether you're going to get attended to, apart from the fact that you're not sure if the medical attention that you're going to get is going to be above par. It's a hit and miss. You're not sure if the nurse is going to be nice to you. And I mean, again, I don't like to seem like I'm blaming the good nurses who a lot of times are frustrated, nurses and doctors and orderlies who are frustrated into the bad attitude. Of course, it's no excuse. But I also understand that the public health, if I had to work there every day, honestly, if I had to go and call that my place of work, maybe I might be a rude person. So maybe as a nurse, I might be somebody that you may not want to encounter should you have to end up in the hospital. As a work environment, as an environment for medical help and relief, we are really failing. We have definitely failed our citizens, and we are failing them on an ongoing basis. And I really sympathize with the people who have no choice, who can't afford the $40,000 and $50,000 to go and park up in Sinclair Medical or West Shore Medical Associates, who have to face, like many of us have to face, the reality of the public healthcare system, the reality of the failed public healthcare system, the reality of the $100 million that we spend per day on our healthcare system. Yes, it's that much, $100 million a day. Was it $120 million? I know we spend upwards of $5 billion a year on our public healthcare system. And when you look at that clip, tell me if you see $5 billion there. Tell me if that money that he's spending is reflected anywhere in that video. Anyway, moving on to the next topic, guys. We have just about 15-14 minutes left for the show. Please, if you want to call in and talk your talk, this is the time before we close off for the day. Yesterday we mentioned on the program when I had East Hub leader Maurice Downs on the program, we mentioned that there was a human trafficking ring bust in Venezuela on today's Tuesday. On Tuesday there was a human trafficking ring which was discovered to have a link with Trinidad and Tobago, and since then the mother of Shinla Cuffy, a young woman who went missing on November the 26th, 2018. Since then, and I will never forget this case. This young girl, 16 years old, you can see the mother milk on the child's face. Young, pretty girl who went missing on her way to school. The last time her mother saw her on November the 26th, 2018, Schindler was getting into a white 80 wagon. She was supposed to be heading to school. And since then, we have her mother has been raising the question of where's her daughter. It's been rumored that she was kidnapped by a cult. And yesterday, the mother pointed out a picture of the bust, the human trafficking ring bust in Venezuela, and she pointed out what she thought to be her daughter, Schindler Cuffy, in that group of victims rescued from the camp. 79 victims were rescued. And I mean, for the mother's sake, I really hope that is Schindler. I really hope that she can solve this mystery once and for all, which is where did her daughter disappear to. This year would be 2 years since she has gone missing. She would be close to 18 years old by now. But I raise this particular story because, I mean, apart from me hoping that there is a happy ending as it pertains to this, it also raises again that issue that and I asked the question yesterday, do you believe that the government is doing enough to address human trafficking? And 93% of you said no. This mother, since 2018, since November 26, 2018, she expressed the frustration that she has been encountering and experiencing as a result of a stall in this investigation. The fact that the investigators on the case have been changed at least 3 times. She's getting no progress reports, no status reports on the disappearance of her daughter. It seems to be that she's doing more investigative work than the investigators and the detectives attached to her to the case, seeing as she was the one to raise the likeliness that may have been her daughter who was rescued from the camp. And I'm saying this because we also discussed yesterday the fact that so many of our women and children have gone missing. So many of them end up in the papers, we report on them, and then we forget about them. But the families of these victims, they never forget about them. They never forget that their daughters and their mothers and their sons are missing. And I cannot imagine what it is like to wake up every morning and know that you have no idea where your child is. And I'm saying this because we are not doing anything with regards to this issue of human trafficking. When Keith Rowley and Stuart Young met with Delcy Rodriguez on March 26th of this year, did they raise that issue of human trafficking? Because if she came here and they told me that was the discussion, I think I might be more inclined to be, understanding of her coming here. I think I might be more inclined to, I might be more open to the idea of us going against the Rio Treaty and bringing somebody who we know has sanctions against them if that was the discussion. But as it is right now, we know where the ports are to bring in and ship people from Trinidad and Tobago. We know all of this. What is being done? Why aren't we looking to these areas? And like I say, they are known areas. Why aren't we looking to these known areas and these known people in terms of follow up in investigations where children and women are missing? Why aren't we doing something to time the issue of human trafficking in this country? And how many more of our women and children need to go missing before we actually address this issue? How long must mothers and fathers and siblings deal with this issue of losing a loved one while our borders remain wide open for anybody to drive up the river and collect or dump another shipment of people? Why are we allowing this? And I am saying this because until it happens to one of us, until it is your loved one, until it's your mother, until it's your sister or your brother or your aunt or your uncle or even your grandparents, because yes, old people too, there's no distinction. Until it happens to you and your family, is it only then that we are going to pay attention to this issue? Schindler Coffee, if that is you, and for your mother's sake, I really hope that it is you, and I really hope that something is being done. And I really hope for all of the other women and missing people in this country that there is going to be some kind of plan to into that that human trafficking ring that was busted, to see if any of the other missing people may turn up or may have turned up in that particular bus that happened on Tuesday. I really hope so, because at this point, we here in Trinidad and Tobago need to feel as if something is being done. At least if we're not securing the borders, let us at least have investigations launched, and let us at least look into these rings that are clearly using the fact that we have a low follow-up in terms of investigations and no real border protection to carry out their nefarious activities. I can only hope, and I will follow this story very closely, I can only hope that that is her daughter. I also hope that for the other people who have lost a loved one due to human trafficking, this issue that goes unaddressed in Trinidad and Tobago, I hope that there is some kind of recourse. And from a government level, I hope that you see what your incompetence and lack of political will is doing to the families of Trinidad and Tobago. Anyway, so we're nearing the end of our program, and I do have a couple things to promote. This Saturday, this upcoming Saturday, is our barrel sale. Tomorrow, I am hoping to bring a barrel sale representative to come in and talk to you, to give you an idea of some of the things that we have on sale Saturday in Barataria. It's a grand flea market and second-hand bazaar. There are a lot of food items. People are asking on the page what are the prices of your food items. All of these things we get from the United States and Canada, and we shop in very reasonable places like Walmart and Dollar Tree and Walgreens and the dollar store, to make sure we give you the best prices possible for these items. And when I say best prices, on brand name products that you sometimes cannot even find here in Trinidad and Tobago, we have in our barrel sale. This barrel sale is one of our major fundraising initiatives. Somebody asked me yesterday, how are you funding the Progressive Empowerment Party? I tagged him on the event, and I said, this is how we're funding this initiative. Our overseas members shop and ship, and we sell, and this is how we raise funds. This is how we pay for this broadcast that we're bringing to you, because we had to pay for this program. We had to find a new means of keeping up our communication during this time of COVID-19, still being able to be on the live and bringing you that information on a morning for Pep Talks in the morning and in an evening with Plain Talk. All of the money that we raise as a party goes towards funding and financing the Progressive Empowerment Party. It goes towards all of these initiatives. This Saturday at the barrel sale in Barataria, please come early. Social distancing rules will be applicable, so we're only letting in a certain amount of people at a time. Please wear your masks. No masks, no entry. We will, however, for those who don't have masks, we will have a small quantity of masks on sale. Of course, we will have PEP merchandise for those of you who have been trying to reach out to us and get your PEP merchandise during this time of COVID-19. We will be selling merchandise on the spot, so you can come and get that. Those who are asking whether you have links and credit card, yes, we do. So if you don't have cash, come with your card, your plastic prepared to swipe. Actually, if you have that, that would be great, because during social distancing, the less cash that you pass, even better. So please come early, line up. We will have a tent available for you to line up. We don't want you lining up in the hot sun. We're thinking and putting all of those measures in place, so you will be comfortable while you shop. It is 10th Avenue, Barataria, between 6th and 7th Street. So if you're on 10th Avenue and you pass you're heading towards the bus street and you pass 6th Street, it would be on you pass 6th Street, you would have passed it. We are on the right hand side of the road if you're heading towards the bus route, on the left hand side of the road if you're heading towards Maritime Plaza. Look for the orange flags. You absolutely cannot miss it. You will see the tents as well. Listen out for the music as well, because while you shop, we do want to keep you entertained, keep it lively. I was told that we are going to have a small quantity of sweets, Eid sweets. I can't remember exactly what sweets it is. If it's Bafi, I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong, but we will have a small quantity free of charge. Or is it free of charge? I believe it's free of charge for our shoppers. Zeta will kill me for not having that information beforehand, but I do know that we will have a quantity for our shoppers available at the barrel sale. As well, PEP mask. And if you are based in Canada, we have some black PEP ninja masks. I had asked Satish to find an image. There it is. Our PEP political leader in his black ninja mask. We have a small quantity of these masks selling at just $8 inclusive of shipping if we have to ship it to you. If you would like to get one of those masks and you're based in Canada, please reach out to me, Felicia Holder, on this number that you're seeing here, 769-4590. I will put you on to Anthony Sinanan and Joan Sinanan, who are the heads of our Canada chapter. They would be happy to assist you. We have a quantity of just over or just under 30 of those black ninja masks. Buy one and support the Progressive Empowerment Party. It's another way that we are raising funds and finding to raise funds during this innovative time. Reach out to myself to purchase one of your masks, and I will and I will put you on to Anthony Sinanan and Joan Sinanan. You can also find them on the PEP Toronto group. Search on Facebook for PEP Toronto and request to join the group, and you can reach out to any of the members there, Anthony, Joan, Lisa, Kezia, and they will direct you how you can purchase and get your own mask. Stay safe while you're supporting the PEP. Have that nice little PEP logo on the side there. I believe they also have some quantity of the blue masks that we had already, that we did in the first batch. Some more of those blue masks are also available. I believe the price of those are $6 Canadian. So if you would like to get yours, please reach out to me, reach out to Anthony, reach out to the PEP group, support the PEP, and stay safe while you're doing so. Anyway, we're at the end of our program. You all were very shy on Talkie Talk Tuesday. You called more on Tuesday, so maybe I should change Tuesday to Talkie Talk Tuesday instead. I don't know. But it was an absolute pleasure coming to you here again, Thursday, the 28th of May. Thank you to Michael, who would have joined us earlier on the program. You brought a lot of knowledge. I'm already getting messages for the mask, so I will deal with you as soon as I come off the program. Thank you to Hadassah, who is our new online membership relations coordinator. I believe it's her title. Thank you very much for coming on the program this morning. Thank you for the call that we got, that one lone caller who called to endorse the Progressive Empowerment Party, as well as join in on the discussion. Absolute pleasure doing this. I love doing this program. I cannot overstate that. Waking up early has never been well, waking up early has never brought me so much joy. Hearing my alarm in the morning, as much as I would like to get an extra hour in bed, hearing my alarm means another day coming live to you, the audience. Anyway, we'll be back tomorrow for TGIF. Looking out to seeing you, looking out to getting your calls, and looking out to for having more guests on the program. I'm not sure who I'm co-hosting with tomorrow as yet, but as always, it will be somebody who would come and brighten up the show. So, and I did not do a thought for the day. I apologize. So that means tomorrow I will give you two. Trinidad and Tobago, enjoy the rest of your day. And remember, during this period of social distancing, let us stay together by staying apart.